Number 3. Oh, yeah, I did bring it. Good. Why did God let Satan fall instead of just throwing him directly into hell? Why did God let Satan fall instead of just throwing him directly into hell? All right, once again, this is the thing I found with questions, is the reason people ask questions is because it's really hard to find an answer, or there is no answer. All right. So the answer is this is a short answer, I don't know. You know why? Because God didn't tell us. So very clearly. So this is all speculation. We have no idea, but there are some things that we can consider as we speculate. So let's speculate together. First, we must acknowledge God is all-powerful and could destroy Satan if he wanted to, right? We know that God is all-powerful and could destroy Satan if he wanted to. But since he has not destroyed Satan, there must be a reason for his existence that ultimately serves as a part of God's perfect plan for humanity. We have to remember that simply because God can do something does not mean that he has to do it. Just because he can do something does not mean that he has to do it. And that's simply because God doesn't do things our way, because a lot of people would say, I think he should have destroyed Satan. Just because God doesn't do things our way doesn't mean that he's wrong. Okay, so we have to acknowledge that first. Second, the possibility of sin must exist to allow humanity to have a free will. Free will is required for the existence of genuine choices, including the choice to love God, right? And so we understand this. God did not make us robots. He didn't make us puppets on strings. God gave us a free will. And so that includes the ability to either obey or disobey him. To disobey him would be to sin, would be to fall into sin. And so we know that in order to have a free will, there must be a possibility of sin there. Even if Satan had not existed, we would still have had free will and the opportunity to commit sin. As it turns out, sin entered through Adam and Eve, aided by the actions of Satan, but this doesn't mean sin could never have entered some other way. We also need to remember that Satan is already a defeated foe. He's already defeated. He's like a giant anaconda that received his death blow by getting shot in the head, but he thrashes around and creates all sorts of havoc until he succumbs to his death. He's already a defeated foe. And so God has told us the details of Satan's defeat and how it will happen, so we have no need to fear him, and we have the victory over him through God. And then the next question to ask is this. If it wasn't Satan, who else would it be? Would it be another angel? Would it be a human? And the question is, if every single time that somebody decides to sin against God, does God just, boom, squash them, you're done. Boom, squash them, you're done. Boom, squash them, you're done. I mean, it would go on ad infinitum. It would continue to go on. Every time somebody sins, God squashes them like a bug and throws them to the side. That's not how God works. God's long-suffering. God's merciful. God's gracious. God is omnipotent. He knows what's best. So the answer is, I don't know, but there's a lot of questions to consider. I like what Ronald Showers said in his wonderful book. It's a really quick read, but it gives like a 30,000-foot view of the Bible. It's just really, really good. Really fast read, and it's hard. It's a hard one to put down. So if you want to pick this up, it's called What on Earth is God Doing? Really, really good book. But at the very end here, he answers this question. Second question is, why does God let the rebellion go on so long? Why couldn't he have demonstrated his sovereignty by crushing Satan as soon as he rebelled? Again, the Bible does not give an answer. Perhaps if God had destroyed Satan immediately, other creatures later on would have concluded that the only reason for Satan's failure was that he didn't try the right method, or that he didn't have enough time to execute his plan fully. So others, thinking that they could do better, might be tempted to try their hand at overthrowing the rule of God, and the kingdom of God would experience one rebellion after another. In order to avoid any further rebellions, God gives Satan full time to try every means of overthrow possible. Through this painful object lesson, he teaches all his creatures an indelible lesson that no one, no matter how long, how hard, or what methods he tries, can ever overthrow the sovereign rule of God. All attempts can do nothing except bring agony and defeat. And so I hope that makes sense. I think that's a really good answer. It could be because people might think, well, Satan didn't have long enough. Well, he didn't get to try everything that he could. And, God's going to let him, use all of his resources, try every tactic under the sun, do everything, and everybody will understand that nobody can defeat God. And that we don't have to fear Satan. We have victory over him. He only has the victory over you if you're a Christian, if you allow him to have it. And so, why did God let Satan fall instead of just throwing him directly into hell? I think those are some reasonable answers or things to consider, but ultimately we don't know. We'll find out in the end. So that's my answer to that one.